Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Whenever you're watching, we're glad you're taking time to listen to us and to learn like we're learning. And today, my guest is Dr. Lisa Nanuski, and I'm Lisa. Thank you for being here today. And I'm going to read your biography here a little bit so people can know more about you. And Dr. Lisa Nezneski is a licensed pharmacist and also an alternative healer, Muneki shaman, and a certified mindfulness meditation teacher. She is an author, consultant, and speaker who was recently featured in the US Journal and Success.com. And those links are below if anyone would like to read the full articles. And Lisa has written two books. One is called Grounded in Chaos, that talks about her story, which I'm hoping she'll share more with us today. And her second book is called Seven Mindful Questions. And I'm sure we'll hear how those same questions are what helped her through her story. And so I'm looking forward to hearing your story, Lisa, and more about you. And her links for her social media will be down in the description too. So, Lisa, could you tell us your story, whatever part you'd like to tell or where you'd like to start? And I'd really enjoy hearing it.
Thanks, Carla. Uh, I really appreciate the offer to be on your podcast. I have a pretty interesting story. I have been a pharmacist for over 40 years. And during that time, you're very focused and you use your intellect to earn your living.
Hmm.
So as a result, everything from the shoulders down was ignored. And at one point, I was a hospital administrator. I had 275 employees, and
That's a lot.
all of those things that go with it. Um, you know, Discipline, evaluations, all of it. I had to sign off on all of them. Um, the departments that I had responsibility for were pharmacy, lab, medical oncology, radiation oncology, and research. So they sort of all fit together therapeutically, if you will. So I woke up one morning about 3 a.m. with chest pain. And I'm like, well, maybe if I just get up for a little while, walk around, things will be all right. And about a half an hour later, I thought to myself, oh, my grandmother passed away from a stroke in her 50s. And I was older than her at that point. And I just had a new grandson. So I went to the hospital, said, let's go. I arrived there probably about 3 or 4 in the morning, maybe 4. And they put me on the monitors and my blood pressure was fine. My oxygenation was fine. But when my pulse, every time I would have an episode of this crushing pain, my pulse would drop. And so since the EKG was normal and the oxygenation was normal, most practitioners don't look at the pulse. So as I was having this pain and I'm seeing it drop to 35 beats per minute, I said, look at the monitor. So the heads all turn. And I said, look at my pulse, watch my pulse. And because they weren't getting it.
Right.
So you have to, first of all, you have to advocate for yourself. But here I was with this chest pain. And as it was going down, like every time it would crunch, if you will, it went down to 32, 30. When it hit 28, I turned to my then husband and said, this could be it. I could be checking out. Tell the kids I love them. And I don't want to miss my life.
Right.
So from there, I began to change a lot of things in my life. Pretty much at this point, several years later, I've gone through some extensive healing, but everything about me has changed. my address, my name, my job, and just you name it, significant other. All of that has changed in that period of time. So there was a lot of introspection, but everything was happening all at once. So when that happened, I decided I had been a meditator in the past, a different technique. And I was taking a class that is an offshoot of what they teach at Psychic Horizons of Boulder, Colorado. So when I was learning their style of meditation, I thought I need a little bit more. I need to be more present. I need to be in my body. So that's when mindfulness found me. And so I did a few free meditations in the little bookstore in town where I was living. And I don't know if you believe in guides or angels, but I kept getting a message. You need to teach this. You need to teach this. And probably because they say that you learn best if you're preparing to teach it. So someone was looking out for me to learn mindfulness. So, of course, at that point, I was open to any modality that's out there to heal. So I started with a 2-year mindfulness training that Sounds True has with Jack Kornfield, Tara Brach, and completed that. And that was really intensive. We had to do student teaching, and I felt very confident in teaching. And I currently have a Thursday night mindfulness meditation group that I lead on Zoom, and it is starting back up November 7th. So I have a wedding this week, so no meditations except for my own. So I'll be leading that starting back up in November. And it really is a fun group. We do a pretty deep dive into the various aspects of mindfulness, including mindfulness of emotions, the 3 basic anchors of mindfulness. Loving kindness is another that we routinely, the last week of the month, we always do loving kindness. And loving kindness is sending. The interesting thing about loving kindness is that there is research, double-blinded research, that looked at loving kindness versus mindfulness versus a control group. And the group that practiced loving kindness had an extension of the caps of their DNA, which is called telomeres. As we get older, our telomeres shorten. They actually started to get longer. So loving kindness is an anti-aging meditation.
Oh, interesting.
It is. So you think of someone that's your beloved, someone that you have difficulty with, someone you don't know at all, but casually, like maybe a checker in a grocery store, someone famous, and then finally we do someone that you have difficulty with. So we send loving kindness in sequence to all of those with phrases. Typically I use, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may no harm come to you, may you be peaceful, may you be safe. And we repeat that for at least a minute or two, directed at one of those 5 individuals. And so it really gives you some perspective on your relationship with others. And there are studies that show that when you pray for someone, which is essentially what loving kindness is, that it is outside of time. So, it could be something that someone needed 10 years ago, and still the prayer will reach them and help them when they need it, or 10 years into the future. So that's the most fascinating thing. I've actually learned that through my shaman practice. So after I did mindfulness teaching, I felt really drawn to shamanic practices. And it's another type of meditation that we can do, but there are some healing aspects. So having clairvoyant training, having mindfulness training, this is the next logical step in my practice. And I did the Four Winds Society program, which is well renowned, and it was a 6-month program. And we also had to do practice on another student and submit those practices to actually graduate. So, yeah, it was intense. And I'm keeping up in the graduate program now because it's really fascinating.
Now, is that the Alberto?
Alberto Violdo. Yes, Dr. Violdo, and his wife is Marcela Lopez.
Mhm.
Nope, her last name has to do with a wolf. I'll think of it as we're going along because
Okay.
she's one of my absolute favorites. But yes, so Marcella and Alberto together teach, and it is magical. The interesting thing about shamanic healing is that sometimes when you are ready to shift the energy in you, 30-minute session can do what 3 months, 6 months of therapy didn't do.
Mhm.
So I have the firm belief that everything happens in energy first before it manifests physically.
Mhm.
So when you are shifting that energy, you are shifting your beliefs, you're shifting your mindset, and it sometimes can really feel magical that things really start to improve. I have a client in Canada, and she started actually with me in mindfulness meditation. She was one of the students in the class, and she did fairly well, but she began to attend the Thursday night sessions. So from that, of course, I had to do my practicum. So I was offering the shamanic healing free, which I still do. First session is always free, and she actually, you could see it in her face that she was brighter, that she was more relaxed. And for me as a healer, that's gives me so much efficacy that I'm on my right path, my life purpose, and to help individuals who have, I have a background as a pharmacist, still practice pharmacy. So,
Mm.
you've been on medications and they haven't done it. You've tried other things and they haven't done it. That's where shamanic healing comes in to really move the needle. And if there is a chance to get off some medications, I'll make that recommendation as well. Or if I really think you need a medication because it's beyond the scope, not having that extensive knowledge in drugs and how they work, I'm not afraid to make that recommendation. So, in a
Mhm.
nutshell, I have one foot firmly planted in traditional medicine and one foot firmly planted in alternative medicine. So that's what makes my practice unique.
Oh, very nice. So I take it you left the hospital administration too after
I
your
did.
health incident.
I did. I did. I decided that that particular place did not, they weren't worth me losing my life over, for sure. And after I left, there was a federal whistleblower lawsuit there. So beyond what I was experiencing there,
Mhm.
it was a all around difficult
Mhm.
place to work for many people. And it happened to be in West Virginia. And for me, I was driving 120 miles a day to get there, 60. It was all highway, but still. Um, and of course, winter would
Mm.
take sometimes 2.5 hours in a four-wheel drive to get there because it's mountainous in that area of
Mhm.
the world. So, yeah, I did leave there. I feel that hospital, and that was my fourth quote tour of duty in that hospital.
Mm.
The people, I love the people there. They're salt of the earth. They are there to serve one another, and it comes across. And for many years, I did nursing home work as well. And there's a nearby nursing home, and I get that same feeling that, it was a small town nursing home, so everybody knew everybody. They went to high school together. They knew that, this was the insurance man, this guy worked in the auto body. I mean, they knew everyone in their history, which was really fascinating, and they cared for them as if they were family.
Yeah, I'm a former nursing home administrator too, in a small town, and yeah, I noticed those too.
Yes,
It's very,
exactly.
very nice part of rural America.
Well, I shifted my practice at that point because I thought no matter what I'm doing for these people, because you come every month as the pharmacist and you review all their medications. But the fascinating thing is you see them when they are admitted, and then over the years you start to see them decline, and eventually you see them when they are going through the process of dying. And I think I did it for 20 years. And I said, okay, I've got to find people with life to live, because I enjoyed what I did, but it can get to you. You know that as an administrator to
Yeah.
constantly be in that environment. So I think at one point I had 1,200 beds that I was responsible for. So over the course of a month. So yeah, it was intense. I've done a lot of different things as a pharmacist through my career, but now I'm really, really just focusing in on healing. I mentioned I have that Thursday night mindfulness meditation group. I'm going to start incorporating some of the what I have a course called Mindfulness 101. So there'll be some uh, didactic, if you will. I'll have a short 10-minute lecture on a particular aspect of mindfulness, and then we'll have a meditation about that. And I'm going to also start incorporating some shamanic teachings. So when we attend class, a lot of the class is in meditation. So some of the things that we do are journey both to the lower world and to the upper world. And it's fascinating. There are three aspects to four aspects to shamanism. When you have your first free session, it's called illumination. So we move some energy out of your body and we bring energy from beyond your ninth chakra. We reach higher and bring in bright energy into your body to backfill whatever you moved out. Because there are times like you'll go for a Reiki session and come back and the same issue pops right back up. Because even though you cleared it, you didn't backfill. So it didn't stay permanent. So we backfill with energy, and of course, or light energy, the brightest white light from heaven, and that's called illumination. The second practice is either a crystalline extraction, like you have what I call a hitchhiker. There may be an energetic body that's not serving you, but loves your energy and is really sapping your energy. So we move that out with a crystalline, a large Vogel crystal. We can also do an extraction of, let's say, this has been the most fascinating part for me, the extractions, where I'm surveying the body, the energy body of the client, and I find a little bit of resistance and I investigate that. And sometimes it's like they were knifed in the back. Sometimes it was a spear. It's all different things that through your previous lives that you brought along with you. And so we tend to heal that by extracting it, opening the energy body, removing it, removing all the pieces, energetically sewing it back up, and then follow with an illumination. So that's what extraction is. It's really fascinating. sometimes, like the spear actually vibrated. I could feel a vibration from the shaft.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then of course we removed that, and all of the things we remove, we put them into a candle fire, into a fire. So, fire in the shamanic practice is rapid transformation.
Okay.
So, and then finally, we'll do some journeying. We can journey to the underworld, to the chamber of wounds, the chamber of um, contracts, what contract you had related to that wound. Then we go to the chamber of grace and the chamber of gifts, bringing that all together. That's called a soul retrieval. And
Mm-hmm.
bring that all back and have fascinating information about how they can heal. So uh, after about a week or so, we get back together and then we integrate that into the person's body. So that's what soul retrieval really is. It's a part of you that's split off during sometimes childhood. It could be a previous life. So it's like you're trying to protect yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
little pieces um, go off to be in the area of grace and just wait for the opportunity to come back.
Right.
So,
I work in the human biofield. I use tuning forks
mhm,
to remove stuck energy or release it, and so many of the things you're speaking about are quite common. Just a different aspect or a different viewpoint from them, but
right.
very similar to work I do. But the soul retrieval is very nice too. What I find when that happens, I usually find the energy stuck below the left foot.
Mm,
Have you
interesting.
experienced anything like that? That piece of consciousness is stuck
I
in
understand. No,
trauma
typically,
there below the left foot.
um, I find it pretty much anywhere.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
I don't find it localized to one particular area of the body. So, as we're doing what we call tracking on the body, we're looking for where is the issue that the client voiced. Where is it being held in their body?
mhm.
And so, just being open to wherever it may be.
Sure.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but I think that's interesting that your practice has evolved to show you left foot meaning.
Well, in biofield tuning, that's part of what we're taught in the class. The lady Eileen Day McCusick, who developed it, had practiced it for a number of years and found she kind of lined up where she finds different things in the biofield on a very consistent basis. She calls
Interesting.
it the biofield anatomy map. And
Oh,
the
cool.
left foot in the biofield, the left foot contains the stuck energy being stuck or mired in a toxic or chaotic environment. And so most of those pieces of consciousness that splinter off from, that fragment off, happen during a very traumatic event for us, right?
Exactly.
And so that's, I'm sure, why I find them stuck beneath the left foot. That doesn't bring in the person within it. That just frees the consciousness, and then other healing takes place through releasing stuck energy, and like you said, filling with light that that enables the fragment to rejoin the whole. So
Yes,
that's how
exactly.
I do it anyway. That's not I guess standard part of biofield tuning, how it's taught, but I we all learn from bits and pieces of information we come across, and so that really was interesting to me, and I started finding it right away. And so,
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. So there was one other thing you had said. You had clairvoyant training. When did that
Mhm.
become part of your story or your journey?
Well, one of the classes that they teach is called How to Heal Yourself. And so through How to Heal Yourself, you learn various clairvoyant techniques. It's sort of like a prerequisite for clairvoyant class. So you begin to learn a little bit and get in touch with your body. So through that, I thought, I need to go to the source. I need to go to whoever taught my original teacher and take classes from them, and which I did for several years. They actually have a ministry. So I did get ordained through them. It's the Church of Inner Light in Boulder, Colorado. So I am an ordained minister through them. But the clairvoyant training, I always was able to see different things, even as a child. There was a Hurricane Agnes that was going to come through Pennsylvania. And I'm watching the television. I must have been 8 or 9 years old. And I got this strong feeling that's not going to go that way. It's going to hook and turn back. And sure enough, it hooked and turned back. So I had a lot of deja vu as a child. I'd have a dream and then it would play out in life. So I've had some of these experiences through my lifetime. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to tap into that. I want to see, my dad was a believer in ESP. What we know now seemed so innovative when I was growing up, like Kirlian photography. Of course, the body has light around it. Of course. We take that as a matter of fact, but when it was originally published, I think the Russians actually came up with the idea. It was unbelievable. Wow, look at these colors. And then they would do plants and other things. But yes, of course. By now we're like, okay, yeah, of course. That we're in a light-filled planet. Why wouldn't we as beings have light in us?
Right, right. Beautiful. Yeah. What I was curious about also is you had talked about how, as a pharmacist, you mainly use, from your throat, shoulders up, and then since then you've been doing a lot of lower than that work, right?
Right.
But of course, always use our minds are important, of course, and in all
Of course.
aspects. But um, so I'd like to know more about your transition, how from
Oh,
one to
sure.
the other, and how that played out in your life, and you're working to make that transition.
Well, most pharmacists will tell you that we typically don't take breaks. We work straight through lunch. We see it's almost like an endurance test. How much can you get done in a certain amount of time?
Huh.
So for me, it was when my heart said, hello. Of course, I had some prodrome experiences, things that I just didn't pay attention to. So when the heart and the memory of my grandmother came, I thought, things have got to change. So, of course, the first thing I did was change my job. And then from there, a lot of different changes started taking place. But I never planned for lunch. I never took breaks. Now they're written into my schedule. Lunch is from 12 to 1, an entire hour. I work from home, so I can plan my schedule accordingly. Um, and breaks typically have to do with walking the dog. So I walk her first thing in the morning, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then again later at night. So I am out of my chair physically and doing something physical. So that's how it's evolved. For a while, I was doing, there was an app that was available and somebody bought them. But anyway, it was great. You could take exercise classes live. And of course, now once they were sold, the price went way up. And anyway, yeah, so I had a list of things. Take care of my nutrition, take care of my sleep, take care of moving my body. So I thought, if I get those three things front of mind, not back of mind, but front of mind. So I think the easiest one I mastered first was sleep, believe it or not, because my body was so tired. It was very easy for me to go ahead and to get the rest that I need. And on an average night, I will get 9 hours of sleep now.
Mm-hmm.
And I still sometimes feel like I need more. But yeah, I'm healing from all those years of push, 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 push. It's just wasn't a healthy thing for me to do. But I felt I had to do that as the breadwinner. So
Mm-hmm.
um, nutrition is the one that's still the hardest for me. I'm celiac. I have allergies to eggs, chicken, all poultry. So it's real easy to get carbs and bad carbs, because a lot of times the things that say gluten-free are actually 100% carbohydrates that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not very balanced.
Yeah.
So Dr. Violdo has a diet called Grow a New Body Diet, and it's an intensive cleanse, and it takes 6 weeks. And I absolutely loved the diet, but you're supposed to do it 4 times a year. So I started to do it the second time. And after 2 weeks, I just felt too much stress from my day job. And I thought, okay, it's okay to try again later.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm stopping that habit, breaking that habit of push through.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel better in 6 weeks. Well, I'm crappy now. So, so I did stop it, but it is the first time I did it. I ended right before I was at a book festival in Los Angeles, and I felt better than I had in years.
Hmm.
So I know that I can do it again, but I think I just had too much stress going on at that point. So probably, when you do cleanses, it's optimal to do them in spring and fall. So I figured, all right, well, when I get back from the honeymoon, November is a good time. It's still fall. I can still do
Mm-hmm.
the cleanse, the 6 weeks, and that'll take me into December, right before winter starts. So that's my plan.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, very good. So, would you take some time to tell us about your books?
So 7 Mindful Questions is the book that I started writing first, and it was already with an editor. And all of those things started happening in my life simultaneously.
Okay.
So I submitted this to a book contest, and I didn't win, but um, this particular book, before it was called Grounded in Chaos, was post-it note after post-it note of me putting out my feelings. It was how I was processing a lot of emotions. And it was during the time that I was taking the mindfulness class and figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like I just opened to page 21, Silent Desperation. In my silence, I began to despair. I began to sink. I began to drown. And from the bottom of the pool, I looked up to see a small patch of sky shining. Illuminate the one singular insight, the one singular dark realization that no one needs me, that no one finds me useful, and no one cares. So, and it goes on from there. But that was my feeling at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of me stuffing it down, working from here up, I began to get much more in touch with what my heart was trying to tell me. So it ends pretty happily, but nevertheless, Grounded in Chaos is a lot of raw emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going through a divorce uh, and your ex sues you at the same time, and you move onto 10 acres of land that is undeveloped, and you have a septic tank and a well, and you go out to walk the dog in the morning and there's a bear track outside, that was a pretty hostile environment. Just the environment was hostile. The name of the town was Rocky Point. And frankly, it was the rockiest point of my life. So I wrote a lot about that. And yeah, it was how I got myself out of a blue funk, and it really was a deep blue funk. I moved to a beach house. I stayed on the beach for over a year until there was Hurricane Florence. And literally the one road on and off the island, it was a barrier island. After the storm, all the dunes had blown away or pushed away. And so at high tide, the road would flood. I'd literally be marooned on the end of an island. So this isn't good. I really do need to get out of here. So that's how I got to Florida. But this one wanted to be published first.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled with this one for a long time. I probably spent 4 years writing this one and probably 2 as I collected all of the Post-it notes for Grounded. But 7 Mindful Questions is a practice that I do still to this day, every single day. And the 7 questions have to do with questions you ask yourself to be in the present moment. And you can use it on the spot. You can use it to plan longer periods. You can even use it to in conversation with someone, just minor changes to the questions. But the 7 questions are ABC, pause and breathe, CBA. Okay. So if I asked you, what are the 7 habits of highly effective people? You probably only know 1 or less.
I'd have to think. Say it again. Say the question again.
Yeah. The 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yeah.
And one I remember is iron sharpens iron, which is the first one, and everything else I don't remember. So I thought it was really important to me to have a mnemonic for people to remember the questions so they could be able to use them. So A is awareness, B is because, C is care. And as I describe the questions, I'll explain how those fit in. Then you're doing the pause and breathe, and then you're choosing a better alternative. So imagine you're going down the stairs and then you're turning around with the pause and breathe and you're coming back up the stairs, CBA.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question is, what am I doing right now? Like you catch yourself, like, what am I doing? Well, right now I'm doing a podcast. Why am I doing this at all? I feel like I have a message that I need to get out there. So that's my because.
Mm-hmm.
And then why do I care about this? Well, it's part of my mission, the care, ABC is the care. Then pause and breathe. What else should I be doing? Like, is there something that's actually more important? Well, for me right now at this moment, no. But let's say you have a list of things to get ready for an event like a wedding, and you're cleaning out the junk drawer. Well, you're clearly procrastinating, and that clearly is not the most important thing. Or you're doing something to avoid doing something more difficult, or you're doing that, quote, easiest thing on the list, but it's not the most important thing on the list. So choose what is essential is the next one. And that by choosing, you're basically inventorying what really matters to me. Choose what's essential. And then you'll find all those other little things will drop away that are just not important, the time wasters. And then question 6 is, what can I do better? And that's when you are dropping into your heart. It's the emotional connection with question 6. What can I do better? And really feel into understanding where you've made mistakes in the past and where your patterns are repeating. So you could think, oh man, every time I need to do something really important, I'm organizing the silverware drawer. It doesn't need to be done.
Right.
So you begin to recognize these patterns that are not really serving you. And then finally, as you're choosing and you're introspective with the question about better, you choose what is the best alternative? What is absolutely essential right now for me to do? And then you shift gears. So through the questions, you're being very mindful, you're being in the moment, and you're really moving beyond just rote doing things, habitual doing. So you're moving beyond doing into more being. What makes your heart
Right.
sing? So those are the 7 questions. This is my teacher's manual. As you can see, I've got it all marked up. But right now it's on sale through my website, healthymindfulself.com, for 99 cents, the ebook.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it also has a companion workbook that my VIP group, we work through this on a regular basis. And what's interesting is that there are meditations in both. Both of these contain meditations. And there is a cross-reference in the workbook to where you would find something in the actual book. They can stand alone or they can work together. So it was designed so that, like, if you're working on choose, which we said was the emotional heart, you can kind of see here where it has exercises and lines where you can answer things. So I wanted it to be very introspective and really think about how to become more mindful by running these questions. So
Nice.
that's 7 mindful questions. I have one more in the works. I don't have a working title for it. And expect some children's books.
Very good. No, I love it. I always think with when I'm doing biofield sessions, every once in a while the dogs start barking or other things, and it's like, well, the universe knows there may be other vibrations were needed at that time to help clear what energy needed to clear, or to lighten my heart, right?
Yeah,
So
these two are small but mighty. They're very protective of the environment, so I'm thankful for them. But they do bark at inopportune times.
oh, I hear you. I think that's a dog thing. Oh, for sure. Well, hey, but I was wondering, would you mind leading us now in some type of meditation, mindful meditation?
Oh, of course, love to.
One of your choice, either
All right.
from your book, or the loving kindness, which your pick, right?
Yes, I think it's important for people to learn how to ground themselves. So we'll start off with grounding, and then we'll work through a basic mindfulness meditation where, if thoughts arise, you can. I'll teach you the techniques to manage the thoughts while we're in the meditation. You can name them as thinking, thinking, thinking. You can welcome them in and ask them to have a seat. See where they feel in your body. Ask them, what do they need right now? So if there's anything that interrupts you through a meditation, which happens sometimes, and it's usually yourself thinking, I forgot to, unless that statement ends with, turn off the stove, there's a fire in the house, or my curling iron's still on, just let it go. All right, let's get ready to meditate. You can put your feet flat on the floor and be very comfortable. And you can either close your eyes or cast your eyes downward to limit distractions. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. And inhale. And exhale nice and slowly. Inhale. And exhale. And one more inhale. And exhale slowly. And with these 3 breaths, you have just switched your body from fight or flight to rest and rejuvenate. And imagine a spot at the very top of your legs. And the technical term is the perineum. And allow energy to leave your body down through the chair that you're in, down through the floor, down through the rest of the building you may be in. Continue to send energy down through rocks, through any soil, any layers of previous civilizations, just continuing down further and further. And as you drop your energy further, you may encounter water. Just allow your energy to pass through it. You may encounter very dense rock like granite. And your energy is light and it will pass through. And continue down further. And now you're several miles deep into the earth. And as you're passing through these layers, just allowing yourself to drop towards the center of the earth, it may begin to become warmer because of the pressure in the center of the earth. The core of the earth is molten metal. So because your energy is light, it will pass through. And find a spot at the very center of the earth that has your name on it. And take the very end of your grounding and wrap it around the spot. Secure it to the center of the earth. And give it a little tug, just to be sure that it's secured. And as you return slowly back up, like you get into an elevator and it brings you back up to the surface of the earth, feel how supported you are by Mother Earth. You are held. You belong here in this moment, in this time. And then allow your feet to the very center of your foot, the arch of your foot, to pop open. And with it popped open, allow energy from Mother Earth to begin to travel up through your calves And your knees will regulate the energy coming up through your feet and come up through your thighs. And imagine between your hips, your hip bones, that there is a bowl, and allow the energy from Mother Earth to fill up this bowl and eventually will spill over and travel down Mother Earth. And now you've created a circuit of energy where energy is leaving your body down through the root chakra, the area of the perineum, and returning back up through your feet to exactly what you need. So you're releasing what you don't need and allowing Mother Earth to nourish you. And then with your imagination, if you have a favorite star or heavenly body, planet, reach out to that star with your intention. I've been working with Sirius, the dog star, for about 2 years now. So I reach out to Sirius and I allow it to enter the very top of my head, the energy coming from Sirius, and allowing it to travel down 2 channels on either side of my spine, all the way down. And when it hits your sacrum or your tailbone, it's going to make a U-turn, pick up maybe 10% of that earth energy, and come back up the front of your body, 2 channels on either side of your belly button, either side of your sternum, travel all the way up to the top of your head and whale spout out and tuck into your grounding cord. And so now you're sitting in a bubble of energy. And from this bubble of energy, we're going to enter now into a mindfulness sequence. The purpose of mindfulness is to be aware. So being aware of your environment. If you can hear anything in your environment, allow those sounds to bring you back to the meditation. If you're feeling any sensations in your body, maybe you're a little uncomfortable in your chair, or you just happen to have a complaint today, maybe your shoulder hurts or your neck. Allow that pain to bring you back to the meditation. Now, if it's very uncomfortable, please feel free to move and adjust yourself so that you can really get the most benefit out of this meditation. So we've covered 2 of the 3 anchors of mindfulness: bodily sensations, ambient sounds, and now we'll move on. I'm going to ask you to focus on your breath, which is the 3rd anchor. And just breathing normally, feel what it feels like to actually take a breath. It's an unconscious part of being alive, but let's focus on it. Feel the air enter your nose, travel down the back of your throat, and inflate your lungs. And then very naturally, you exhale. One of the techniques I like to use to focus on the breath is to imagine a figure 8. As you're inhaling to the top of the 8, and then exhaling down to the bottom of the 8. And inhaling to the top, and exhaling to the bottom. find that to be a very helpful visualization. Now, if you have a thought pop into your head, thinking about clothes in the dryer you have to fold, or there's a noise outside, just label it as thinking, and go back to the figure eight. And inhale and exhale. Use that visualization of a figure eight to keep you on track. Sometimes a thought arises that just has some emotion with it. It seems to grab you. Like all of a sudden you think of someone who has passed away and the grief becomes overwhelming. Just allow yourself to sit with that. Don't push it away. Just allow it to be. You may ask it, where are you sitting in my body? And what do you need right now? And what can I do for you? And sometimes the answer might just be nothing. I just need to sit with you. And so you'll sit long enough to allow the feeling to let go of its grip on you. It may not pass or lessen, but the grip will lessen. Sometimes the thought is very intense, and just allow it to sit next to you. Like imagine it's sitting in a chair next to you, and you can acknowledge it and say, I see you, I hear you, I will address you, but I'm coming back to my meditation. And so, as we bring this meditation to a close, you can begin to return your fingers and toes, wiggle your fingers and toes, return your feeling, sensation to your body, maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. And you may open your eyes when you're ready.
Yeah,
Well,
very nice.
thank you. Despite a few distractions from my animals, I think we made it through. But that's similar to what I teach on Thursdays. We always start with grounding. I also taught the 3 basic anchors, the breath, sensations in the body, and ambient sounds. And then, of course, we did the grounding and running of energy through our body. That is really a great way when you're overwhelmed or stressed. Just begin running your energy. Ground, bring up earth energy, bring in energy from the heavens, let it mix, and just let it run. You can ground things like your house or your car, especially during hurricanes or bad weather. Website is www.lisanezneski.com. You can reach me. There's a contact me form right on the website. You can follow me on Instagram. It's again my name, Lisa Nezneski, and I'll be doing more live things on Instagram, such as the meditation. Probably not have the dogs in the house for that, but nevertheless,
Right.
we made it through. Thank you so much, Carla. This was really fascinating. I enjoyed learning about what you do, and I appreciate you having me on as your guest.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I enjoyed our conversation too. And thank you everyone for joining us.